First up on today's episode, Josh and Andy bring us their video on lifting of the mask mandate next week.
And we end off our Wednesday morning show with a video of the renaming of Wilson Elementary brought to us by our very own magnificent Jake and Chloe.
All that and more on today's episode of Flyer News.
We said crazy things like I refuse to look back thinking days were better just because of younger days. I don't know what's round the corner where I feel right now. I swear will never change. Back when we were kids, swore we will never die.
Good morning, FHS. Today is a day 2 with periods running C, A, D, G, F. I'm Brian Fintonis.
And I'm Logan Shapiro. We have been keeping our ears to the ground, waiting for the moment COVID gives us our normal lives back.
Well, have I got some news for you, Logan? As of March 7th, FHS will be going mask optional.
That's great. Let's see what Josh and Andy have to say about it and the details surrounding it.
No masks.
Starting March 7th, masks and face coverings at Framingham Public Schools will be optional and no longer required.
Except on school buses. This is going to be a great start to what we were so used to when we were younger. But this is entirely optional. You were allowed to wear your mask. You were allowed to not wear your mask. It is up to you. Me personally, I might be on and off until I'm comfortable. But I don't know, man. I'm going to have fun. That's all I got to say. Andy? Joyce? What? Oh, hey, Andy.
Who's that?
Masks gone March 7th.
This has been Andrew Fienblatt and Joshua Keefe. Send it back to the desk.
These last few years, Framingham and the rest of the world have changed a lot.
Recently, formerly named elementary school Woodrow Wilson has now changed its name to Harmony Grove.
With more on that, we have the wonderful Cahn and the amazing Chloe Mills.
Starting in the summer of 2020, many members of the Framingham community called for the name of Woodrow Wilson Elementary School to be stricken and replaced after a review of Wilson's policies while president. While he was a strong leader during World War I and helped establish the League of Nations, his racist actions as president could not be overlooked any longer by the city.
We spoke with Framingham High School chemistry teacher Emily Miller, who's involved in the renaming process, to hear her thoughts on the induction of Harmony Grove.
So we went through a really long process of narrowing down names suggested by the community and by students at the school. And so we took probably 200 names, and then we narrowed it down to 30 names, and then we narrowed it down to about 5 names. Some of the front runners were obviously Harmony Grove. We had Ruby Bridges. A lot of kids liked that one a lot because they felt they could relate to her. One of my personal favorites was Emiliano Mondruco, who was a civil rights activist, and he was a polyglot who spoke English, Portuguese, and Spanish. And I liked that as being a part of our community. He also had ties to Boston. But I liked Harmony Grove the best because it had the most local connections and it really spoke to free speech and community. I hope that the idea of community and involvement and free speech really carries through in the future. And I feel it's something that the kids at the school hopefully will relate to.
The new name was voted in unanimously by the City Council last May, after months of work on the renaming. Harmony Grove was a park and amphitheater located about a mile away from the school, just across from Farm Pond. It hosted rallies and speeches by social justice activists to promote women's rights and speak out against racism and slavery. It was a regular meetings place for the Massachusetts Anti-Slavery Society, and in 1874 hosted a suffrage convention against gender inequality.
Priscilla Souza, the chair of the Framingham School Committee, offered her perspective in favor of the Harmony Grove Elementary School title.
What does this name change represent for you in accordance with reforms you and other government members are trying to make in the city?
What it means to me is that people are paying attention. Inequities we're being very mindful about how we move forward in order to represent the community, what we're willing to honor, what we want Framingham to stand for. And yeah, it ultimately means that people are paying attention, which makes me so happy, and people are mindful, and people are stepping up and ready to use their voice. However, it also means that we have so much work to do, because the Herculean effort and the petitions that needed to take place and the gears that had to go into motion to make one change shows us how far along we still have to go.
And what does it mean for underrepresented members of the community to see Harmony Grove in place of Woodrow Wilson? And personally, for you, as a person of color in the community, like, does it have any special significance for you as well?
So I'm a Brazilian immigrant, and so are many of the kids that are attending Harmony Grove. It makes me and us feel seen. The fact that a lot of these parents I'm very familiar with, so I know that they are working one job after the other, paycheck to paycheck. They're trying to literally build a life for their families from scratch. So it's no surprise that they don't have time to sit there and ponder the name of a school, like which is privilege that other parents do. But the fact that other members of the community that had that privilege spoke up on their behalf is so amazing. It really, I think, to underrepresented communities, it means they're being seen, which is so important and so wonderful.
Symbols of Framingham, like Harmony Grove Elementary School, have a significant impact on the attitude of community members and the education of our students. The advocates for Harmony Grove worked hard to create a more inclusive environment in which Framingham's youth can thrive.
In the words of the principal of Harmony Grove Elementary School, Bernima de Moraes, the new name, quote, sends a powerful message that reiterates our social justice, inclusive, and tolerant core beliefs.
That's all from us on Harmony Grove Elementary School. Let's go back to the desk.
Last Tuesday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott released a letter regarding Ken Paxton's Texas Attorney General's choice to make gender-affirming medical care to children under the age of 18 a form of parental abuse. Governor Abbott's letter urged licensed professionals and members of the general public to report to authorities if they were aware of anyone providing gender-affirming medical care to their children. Thankfully, one Brian Klobsterbor of the ACLU, the American Civil Liberty Union, said that the words of Ken Paxton and Greg Abbott have no legal effect. Klobsterbor said, and I quote, "cannot change Texas law nor usurp the constitutional rights of Texas families," end quote. As of now, some investigations have begun looking into the families of trans children. Most details, though, are still unclear. Hey, if you're looking for a safe place to express yourself, we'll always have Place Up here in Massachusetts.
UMass basketball head coach Matt McCall has been with the team since 2017. However, after this season, it seems that Matt McCall and UMass will be parting ways. Matt McCall was praised by his peers for his dedication and effort to improve the team. In the 2019-2020 season, he made big arrangements to recruit some top 100 prospects like Trey Mitchell. Part of this decision was caused by UMass's very underperforming season this year, as they are 12-16 overall and 5-11 in their conference. UMass will be looking for a new coach in the offseason, and they will be looking to turn around their program, as they have not made the NCAA tournament since 2014. Unfortunately, that's all for today's episode of Flyer News. I wonder where I can get my Flyer News fix.
Hey, Logan. You can rewatch this broadcast again at 5 and 7 o'clock on channels 8 Comcast, 15 RCN, and 41 Verizon Fios.
Oh yeah, and you can watch this broadcast under the FEC TV tab on the school's website or on our YouTube channel. Make sure to check us out on Instagram as well, at Framingham High Studios.
Oh, but don't leave just yet. We have a scorching hot new episode of The Early Bird coming up next. For Flyer News, I'm Brian Fintonis.
And I'm Logan Shapiro. Have a wonderful Wednesday, FHS.